Hi there, this is Dorn. I'm Vice President for Mapping for the Orienteering Club right now. I'm going to continue with instructional videos by coming out in the field right now to show you how Avenza maps can be used in the field to collect data, not only for purposes of setting up a meet, but also if you want to make a correction to a map as well. So we're going to be walking around the woods here a little bit, and I'm going to have the app live. All right, I am starting the phone up right now using Avenza, and you can see that I have the UMed map that I have previously posted ready to go, and there is a blue dot that has geolocated me. In the lower right-hand corner of the screen, I have another free app running, which is called GPS Status. And that's a really useful thing to have just to make sure that you're getting a good GPS read on your phone. And it will also tell you what your error is. And if you look on the video, you'll see that my error is at 3.8 meters, which is reasonably accurate and good enough for the sorts of changes that we're going to be making on the map. If I use two fingers, I can zoom into the location that I want to be. And as I start to move, you'll see that little blue dot is going to move with me. Now, one thing that's really important to note about using the Avenza app in the field is that you shouldn't become too reliant on it, especially for locating where controls might be, because there are going to be some slight differences in georeferencing between the map itself and where the phone is showing you. And you don't want to set a control that someplace is accurate for your blue dot, but actually isn't accurate on the map. So make sure that the features that you're using really do match the map when you are setting your controls. But for purposes of making changes to the maps, this is a super useful tool. Now, there are a bunch of different things that we can do here, but one of the most important ones is just to go ahead and set a location. So let's say that we're out checking the map and we're planning to run some sort of event here, and we decide that we are going to place a control in one location and we want to mark it on the map. We can do that by going to the lower left-hand corner and clicking on what's called a place mark. You can add the place mark here, and you can edit it. You can change its color if you want to. I'm just going to call it something simple like control, and I'll change the color to blue, and I will then say OK. That then adds that place mark on the map, and you'll see it added it in a slightly different location than the blue dot. That's again something that you just have to make sure that you have a control of. The control, or the place mark rather, is going to be placed wherever the cross hatches are, and you can always again click on the lower left hand button to get it to move to exactly where that blue button is. And I probably had that wrong. So this can be used for setting controls, but it can also be used for helping with map edits. And where I'm standing on this hill right now, there's a small little trail that does not properly appear on the map. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to add a line on the map that shows where this trail is. And I'm going to go here to the lower right-hand corner, and I'm going to click on this little measurement pen tool right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say record GPS track. It's going to ask me, are we ready to start tracking? And I'm going to say yes. Once it's started to track, I can walk along that trail, and I'm going to get rid of the little tracking window right now so that you can see me moving. And as I move along the top of this hill where there's a little trail, you'll see that a small trail, in fact, starts to appear. And I have to make sure that the window's set in the right location. And of course, I can continue walking on this as long as I feel that it's practical to do it. And as soon as we are done making this little track, you can go ahead and hit the stop button, and then that's going to leave this line here that you will later on be able to export so that you can add it to the orienteering map if you want to make a change on it. And you'll see it's a pretty long trail that I appear to have missed when I was making this map. So I'm going to hit stop. There's a line there now, and I can actually click on that line. And when I click on that line, you'll see it's track 1. And here, if I want to, I can click in, I can change the name of the track, and I can also add other information to it. Usually the most useful thing to put here is just what you're showing. For example, this might be a small footpath, or it could be a vehicle track or something like that. But that way you have a recording of what it is that you actually want to show. There are other things that you can do on the app as well. I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing this, but if you wanted to change, for example, the vegetation boundary, you could actually draw a line that does that as well. So you can click on draw and measure, and you can move this little hatch around here and click on it. And when you've clicked on it, oops, I'm going to go to add point. I can move it to another location, click on add point, and you'll see that it will produce a line on the map. So this is so you wouldn't have to walk it if there was some reason why you didn't have to walk it. For example, you're showing the boundary of a swampy area. You could go ahead and do that. You can also close this to make it into a polygon as well, which is a closed line. But the most important thing here is just to have some sort of line or some sort of feature that you're going to export later on that is going to allow you to make whatever map updates you want to make. So this is one of the important ways that you can use Avenza in the field to make map edits and also to prepare yourself for meets as well. And hopefully this is clear. If you have any questions whatsoever, you should let me know. To go over a little bit more of the functionality of the Avenza Maps app here. I have the UMed map opened right now, and I did that, of course, by going to My Maps. I already had the file loaded in, and now I've opened it up. You'll see, though, that there's no blue dot appearing, even though my cell phone has GPS coverage right now. How do you get to that blue dot if you want to? Well, if you look at the lower left-hand corner of the map, there's a little arrow, north arrow thing. Just click on that, and that will take you to the blue dot and your precise location. You can move the cursor around wherever you want to on the map, or you could push that button again and it will take you back to the blue dot and your location. When you want to do something like add data, particularly place marks, you're going to do it wherever that cursor is. So if you want to place the location of a control in the middle of this hill area right here, you would move the cursor to where you want it to be and click in the lower left-hand corner. And this is where you can go ahead and add a place mark, as is done elsewhere in this video. Remember, you can give it any name you want, and usually the naming convention is what's going to help you remember what you were trying to show that might have been wrong with the map. So here I'm calling it control, but I could give it any other number of names that would help me remember the feature. I'll go ahead and choose the symbol as well, but I wanted to show you that you can go down and you can make a description. You can add a photograph if you want to. And if you really want to get into it, you can add attributes to it, though that's not really necessary for our purposes. I'm going to go ahead and place that marker right there. Now, once you have markers, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, there's a little set of map layers that you can click on. And if you click on that layer, you'll be able to click into the layer and see the things that you have put there. That's also where you'll go and edit them if you want to delete them. And later on, this is where you're going to go when you want to export it so that someone else can see the data that you've collected. Going back to the map, I just want to remind you that down in the lower right-hand corner, is where you can draw and measure, where you can also record your GPS tracks as well. There are plenty of videos about Avenza maps that you can take a look at that Avenza Systems has made. And I recommend that you take a look at some of those tutorials if you want to know more.